Let's go outside and see how the electric cars are doing at minus 21 degrees Fahrenheit. Good morning. Welcome to rural Montana on a nice day in January. It is minus 21 degrees Fahrenheit right now. It is about 8:35 in the morning. So basically the coldest time of the day. But it's beautiful out. If we look over this way, man, it's beautiful over there. The sun is just hitting the tip of the mountain over there. Beautiful, beautiful, super nice here. And here are our electric cars. So, let's talk about preheating in real life. How long does it take? What does it take? How do electric cars do when it's so cold? Let's talk a little bit about that. First, I want to point out a lot of people don't understand when the coldest time of the day is. The coldest time of the day under normal circumstances, that means if the weather pattern is not changing. I mean, the weather pattern can change and it could warm up at any time or get cold at any time. But during a normal pattern, after sunset, the temperature starts dropping and then it drops continuously until about an hour after sunrise. So right now you can see we have light out and it's beautiful. The sun is not up. I cannot see it over here over the mountain yet here in the valley. So it stays cold until about an hour after sunrise. The sun has to come up and then be able to actually heat the planet up, heat us up here. And so usually right at before sunset, it's maybe a degree or two less. So here at 7:30, it was minus 20 degrees. And then here about an hour later, now it's minus 21. It may drop another degree or so. We don't know. Depends a little bit. But so the coldest time is in the morning, basically when you need to go to work. And that's when we need these cars, right? Or at least one of them. And so with an electric car, you can preheat them without actually having to run an engine, right? So that's pretty cool. So even if you're inside a garage that is not heated, you can actually run it. You don't even have to go out there. You can use the key fob or the app, whatever the car offers, to do that. So for us, both of these cars always sit outside. One of them gets lucky to sit under the roof and the other one doesn't. That's just how that goes. And you can see they're both plugged in, okay? That's how it's supposed to be. You always want to keep them plugged in. That doesn't mean they're charging. That just allows the car to take power from the grid. So we can take power right from there, from the charger, and it's going to the car, and the car can do whatever it needs to do without using what's in the battery. So this way you keep up your state of charge in the battery. So for us, we charge to 70 or 75% for daily driving. It depends a little bit. In the wintertime, we go usually 75. In the summertime, we go 70 because the consumption is less in the summertime. So that's where we set it to, and the car will charge up to that. And sometimes we use scheduled charging, where it will start charging at a certain time that we tell it to start charging. And excuse me. And so that could be like 1, 2, or 3 in the morning. I can change that according to how much I need. In general, you can just look at it this way. You get about 10% an hour on level 2 charging. And I'm saying about, obviously that depends on your level 2 charger. And that depends on the car you have, the battery size, right? So, but roughly 10% an hour. So if we come home with 40% and we want to go up to 70, we need about 3 hours. So if I want to leave at, let's say 7 in the morning, I could start charging at like 3:30 and then I should be fine, right? By 6:30, 7, I should definitely be there. In the wintertime, you want to, if you do this, you want to start charging earlier because you want to precondition the car too. There's another option that Tesla offers. It actually offers the option you can put a time in that you want to leave. and then it, according to the power source, it sees how much power it can draw. And so at home, it usually knows that. So here we can do 40 amps. So it knows it can draw 40 amps. According to that, it calculates when it needs to start charging, so that it will be done charging and will be preconditioned inside the cabin when we leave at a certain time. So we can set that to like 7 a.m. and the car will be done charging probably around 6:30, and we'll turn the heater on at that point and we'll run all off the grid and not use any of my battery. And so out here in Montana, you have to have your cars plugged in. And I'm not just talking about these cars. If I want to drive this truck today, this is a diesel, and if I want to drive this right now, this will be a little rough because it sits over there and it's not plugged in. We are actually plugging in internal combustion engine cars out here. And you may not know that, but internal combustion engines do not necessarily start at -20 degrees. Especially diesel engines have some issues. The latest generation of diesel engines, the modern ones, do pretty good. This one back there is 23 years old now. It has a little rougher time. I possibly could get it started right now, but it would only run on like 3 cylinders instead of 6, and it would run really rough. And I would have to let it idle for 10-15 minutes before I could even drive so that it would run. We had to do that one time before, many years ago. Why? Because our Honda Accord, a V6, didn't start. It was 20 below and it did not start. That was before we had a block heater installed in that Honda. Yes, a block heater. You need a heater and you need to plug in internal combustion engine cars. So there's so many people that make fun of the electric cars and you always need to plug them in and blah, blah, blah. And well, you do need to do the same thing with internal combustion engine cars in the extreme cold like we have here. So in Montana or other areas where it's extremely cold, if you travel, you may know this around hotels or resorts or many other places. You'll see outlets in the parking lots. There's power outlets, regular power outlets. Why? Well, so you can plug in your internal combustion engine vehicle in the wintertime because you may not be able to start it the next morning. That's how this is. So, and we're doing the same thing with an electric car. We plug it in so the electric car can take care of itself. And in the wintertime, it will use a little more power because it's got to keep the battery pack warm. Basically, just around freezing, okay? It will just keep it around freezing. It won't warm it up very much, but it doesn't let it drop too much below freezing either. And, well, that can take a little bit of power to do so. And if you look right here, you can see this one has a running green light. So that means this charger here right now is providing power and that cord goes over here. So this car right now is doing something. I can't really hear anything. Also, there's no charge indicator here, anything going there. The car doesn't really know I'm here. But what it is doing, it is probably heating the battery up right now, or keeping it warm anyway. And that's why it's using power. And so right now it's using power from the grid right there, which that's the key. So the car is still charged just fine. And we don't have to worry about that. Oh, and this one came on too here. We can see this car is drawing power as well right now. And actually, if you can hear it, let's go over this way. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but the fan's going. So this car here, I turned on about an hour ago, and it has the option, Teslas have the option to use a defrost or a just regular climate control. The Chevy Bolt we had, you could just use the regular climate control from the key fob and it would run for 20 minutes. And 20 minutes at minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit ain't gonna cut it. It will be okay to get in, but I mean, hell, we got a little pampered, I guess. Since this is our 5th winter with the Model 3 here, and we always preheat the car or schedule the car to be preheated, whatever. So it's nice and warm. I've never worn gloves or a hat getting into this car for the past 5 winters that we had this car. Because it was always nice and toasty. I just come from the house, get in the car, that's it. And get in the car, it was warm. Always nice and toasty. And with the Chevy Bolt, if you do the 120-minute cycle, it ain't so nice and toasty. You still need a hat and the gloves, okay? But it's obviously much better. But so you need about 40 minutes, 2 cycles on a Chevy Bolt. Same thing with these here. You need about 40 minutes here and 40 minutes for that one if you want them nice and toasty when you get in. So now this one's been running a little longer. Been going, like I said, about an hour on this here. And we'll go in there here in a second. And I'm going to bring my infrared thermometer so we can check what the temperature is inside of all the materials inside. Because that's the important key here. The air in there warms up relatively quickly. So within 20 minutes, the air inside is warm. You turn your seat heater on. It feels good. If you got steering wheel heat, perfect. You can drive. Okay, no big deal. But everything inside is still cold, and you still have to warm up everything that is inside the car. You know, you have seat heat, but that's just the surface heating up right under your butt and your back. But everything else on the seat is still cold. The carpets are cold, everything's cold, and you need to heat all that up. And so that takes more time to get all that cold out of there and to get the heat into these cars. So let me go grab keys for these two and the infrared thermometer. And we'll go into this one first, where it's nice and toasty maybe. Or actually, no. Let's do this one first, because I'm a little cold right now. My fingers are a little cold here. I don't really wear the heavy gloves I should for this temperature. So let's go into this one first and see what the temperatures are in here. And then we go over there into the warm one. Okay, we're back out. I got my multimeter with the infrared sensor on here, and I got lucky. I got this door open because a couple days ago, this car actually been sitting here for 3 days, and we had some wet snow falling. And the problem with all cars that have frameless windows, the window needs to lower so you can open the door. And after rain and it freezes or snow that melts, they have a tendency that, well, if the window freezes along the bottom or along the top, then they don't lower, they can't lower. Also, in this case, actually, the window lowered relatively quickly, but the door itself was kind of frozen and I had to pull a little hard. But, well, let's go in here and let's just see if I can turn the heat off here. Let's just turn that off. Okay. Let's see what the car reports. The car reports minus 14. Cars always report a little bit warmer than what it really is. And why is that? Well, the battery pack is warm. So there is some heat in the car. That's just like if you have a thermometer right outside your window. It may not show the actual temperature because it's so close to the house and your window loses a lot of heat that it actually may warm up there a little bit depending on where it is. So anyway, let's see here if we can turn this on. It's a little tougher to work with gloves. So, what we see here, it's fluctuating there, minus 14. Let's see the red dot there, minus 16, minus 19. So the further out we go, so like the door there is minus 19. The dash seems to be a little warmer. The seat here, if you can see, where's the red dot? Oh, there it is. You can see here that is, oh, it shows minus 19 there. What is it on the floor? Floor here shows, yeah, 16, 17 minus. Let's go on the screen here. The screen may be a little warmer. Nah, not really, huh? So let's go onto that screen there. That screen is a little warmer, huh? All these surfaces inside the car are more or less the outside temperature. They may be a little bit warmer because we're inside the cabin here and we're sitting on top of the battery pack that's kept warm and heat rises a little bit. So we have a little bit of this residual heat coming from the battery pack in here. But basically, that's how cold everything is in here. Everything in here is that cold, and we need to heat all these materials up. This, everything back there, the headliner, everything needs heated up. And as we're heating up, we lose a lot of heat through windows everywhere, right? There's a lot of glass, a lot of cars have now have now a glass roof, so we lose a lot of heat there, and that takes quite a bit longer to heat up. And if you want to be nice and toasty in here, then you definitely want to preheat for about 40 minutes in these cold temperatures. If it's above 0 Fahrenheit, then maybe 20 minutes will do, but below 0 you probably want to do 40 minutes. So now it's it's just about 9 o'clock there. Now what we'll do is, let's bring this up here. There we go. Defrost hot, defrost. Let's see here. There we go. And you can hear it starts slowly cranking up, and you can see down here it automatically sets it to high. And so we'll let this go and come back here in a few minutes or so. We'll go over to that one right now, and then we'll see how warm it is here in a few minutes. Oh, this is much better in here, man. Yeah, definitely. We are now inside the Model 3. That's been going for, yeah, over an hour now. And in here, everything's warm. I can touch the wheel here. That's warm. Everything feels warm. My hands are cold right now. And so everything here, yeah, everything is warm to the touch in here. So, and it's been going, the heat's been going. And we didn't do the defrost here, but the heat. So this car, you can see it only reports -9. The other one reported -14. Why? Well, because we had the heat going. So now we have even more heat in here. Also, when you turn the heat on, the Teslas will start warming up the battery as well. And if we look on here, you can see right there, there's no blue snowflake right now. So that is an indication it was warming up the battery. Actually, let's start up the car. Oh, we can't, we're plugged in. Can't start it up, doesn't let us drive. Unlike an internal combustion engine car where people drive off at the gas station with the nozzle still in there, right? Anyway, so yes, in here it's nice and toasty. So let's check the surfaces with the meter here, and let's see what we come up with. Let's see. There we go. Okay, where is that? That's down there, right? Somewhere there on that surface. So that shows about 50 degrees here. The door shows about 35 degrees. And this shows, oh, where am I there? I gotta, there about 60 degrees on the dash. What's the screen here? The screen is about 55-ish. What about the headliner up here? About 45, 47. The seat back here, about 55-ish. Let's check the seat back there. About 34-ish, okay. So, you can see this is nice and warm, and especially with the seat heaters. I mean, the seat heater is on in this seat here. They're set to automatic, so the passenger seat heater is not on, but this one is on, and it feels super warm in here. The fan is going very low at this point, because there's really not much heat required in here anymore. So we could crank the temperature up or crank the fan up a little more. If we would have rear passengers, then we could turn the seat heaters on back there. This seat over here is set to automatic, so if somebody would get in, it probably would turn it on to the first position. So, but in here it's nice and warm. Don't need no gloves in here, okay? My hand's still cold from holding the camera because the camera is still cold. But the car, everything in here really is nice and toasty, and I wouldn't need the hat. I probably could even take the jacket off, okay? But that said, when you drive in these conditions, you still bring all your clothes because you'd never know what happens. The car could break down. Any car can break down, and the breakdown could just be, you could have a flat tire, and then you may have to go out there and do stuff, okay? Depending on what it is, or whatever it is. You may have to leave the car, so you always want to be prepared in these extreme temperatures, no matter what. Even if the car is nice and toasty and you're going to an office job, don't wear the fancy clothes and nothing else. You can wear the fancy clothes underneath, or you can change at work, but you want to bring warm clothes in these conditions no matter what, because you just don't know. That's a matter of safety, and it's actually a matter of life and death, because there may not be anybody to help you, especially out here. You never know. But anyway, so as we see here, this warms up really nicely. Takes at least 40 minutes to warm up a car like this. After about 20 minutes, you could get in and drive, like I said, with the seat heater on. And if you have steering wheel heat, this car actually doesn't have steering wheel heat. This is 2018. Back then, Tesla did not offer the steering wheel heat in the Model 3. So it does not have it, but I never needed it because we just preheated the car and then the wheel was warm. So, I mean, it's warm to the touch at this point. And this hand is not cold because this hand is not holding the camera. And so this is feels warm here on the steering wheel. Let me switch hands here real quick. Ooh, this feels toasty because this hand is a little cold from holding the camera. Because the camera is still cold and the camera will take another 20-30 minutes to warm up in here to absorb the heat that is in the air, because we're just heating the air and everything has to absorb heat. So that's what takes so long. The good thing is with these electric cars, you pretty much get immediately warm, okay? So if you're warm, so you're coming out of the house and you come in here and you turn the heat on, it may not feel warm to you at that point. Or if you come out of another car and you sit into the cold car and just turn the heat on, even though it's blowing warm air, it may not feel warm to you because you're like 70 degrees and you just come out of that 70-degree car or 70-degree home, and 70 degrees feels comfortable, and then you get into the car that's 20 below and it's blowing air in that is, I don't know, 40-50 degrees or so. That feels cold to you, because if it's not blowing in 100-degree air, it feels cold to you, okay? It doesn't start feeling warm until the air temperature that's blowing in is basically above your body's temperature, okay? So with my cold hand here, I touch the steering wheel. That feels super warm because the steering wheel is 55 degrees or so, right? My hand's really cold still. So that feels warm. But if you come out of another car or out of the house, it will feel cold because it's colder. So there's that thing, that relationship between you being warm or cold. If you get into this car and you've been outside for 2 hours doing stuff and you're cold and you come into this car, you turn the heat on, it will feel nice within a few minutes because you're so cold, okay? But if you're warm, it will feel cold for the first 10-15 minutes maybe, okay? So always consider that when you look at this. So most importantly, preheat for a long time. If it's cold, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, okay? 40 minutes will do usually, you don't need more than that. But you want to preheat in these extreme temperatures. If it's below 0 degrees Fahrenheit, you want to do probably about 40 minutes. If it's above, you want to do about 20 minutes. You can do this while the car is not plugged in. It's getting warm in here. So you can certainly do this while the car is not plugged in. That is not a problem as long as you have enough charge in the battery. You can preheat the car. And heating the car, once it's warmed up, doesn't take very much to keep it warm. Getting it warmed up, that's what takes a lot. So this heater will run full blast until it comes up to the temperature that you have it set to. Like here it shows 72. Once the car sees the 72, it will use a lot less power from that point on to just keep it warm. But to get there, it uses a lot. And so if you preheat this at home while you're plugged in, like we are here, it takes the power from the grid to heat. Depending on the heater and depending on how much power you can supply with your EVSE, with your charger to the car, it may actually take some out of the battery to come up to the temperature. And then once it reaches temperature, it may start, depending on your settings in the car, it may actually recharge the battery if there is time. If you're leaving already, you may have lost a little bit. So if you're doing a level 1 at 120 volt, the heater in the car will usually take way more than what you can provide. So even if you're plugged in, you will lose some of the state of charge. The state of charge will go lower in the battery. But in general, so here we are still showing there 75%. So we're still up at 75% at the setting we want to be. for our daily drive, and that is because we're plugged in, the car is warm, so that's great. If we come out cold car or only half warmed up and we start driving, we will use more power while driving because the heater is still going at high to heat up the cabin. Also a disadvantage is while you're driving, as the air rushes over the car on the outside, this is what we would call wind chill. So like for people, if you're outside right now, there's no wind, it feels like minus 20 degrees. If there would be a 5-mile-an-hour wind, it would feel much colder. Okay, so the same thing is with a car that you're heating. There is the effect of wind chill. It's not like that the car feels the wind chill. The car don't care about that, but the wind takes the heat away. That's like if you drink hot chocolate or hot coffee. If it's too hot, you blow on it, right? That's the wind chill. So you're taking the heat away faster. So if you're driving with a car and you're trying to heat it at the same time, because the wind rushes over, under, around the car, it will take all the heat away as quickly as possible, or as depending on how cold it is, it takes it extremely quickly away. And that means you need even more to get it up to temperature. It takes even longer if it's extremely cold out. So it's best if you can warm up the car while it's sitting. It will warm up much quicker inside rather than take longer. So best to preheat while the car is sitting at home, plugged in, and then start driving after it warmed up. And it's super nice and toasty in here. I'm actually getting warm. I'm overdressed for basically having the seat heater is still on here on auto. So let's go back over and see how this one does. It is 9:14 now, so it's about 15 minutes. Let's go see how much this one over there heated up by now. Okay, we're back in the Model S, and well, this has old software, so it doesn't have automatic seat heat. And I didn't turn it on. That was dumb. So if you don't have automatic seat heater, turn the seat heat on when you preheat the car, because right now my butt is cold. Let's see here if I touch the wheel. It still feels cold. Oh, down here it's extra cold. Up here it feels a little warmer because we got the vents blowing at it there. Let's see here what temperatures we read. Okay, we got 9 degrees down here on the seat, 5, 9, 3, it goes all over the place. We got about 5 there on the dash here. Oh, the dash is already 22. Let's do the headliner up here. Up here it gets warmer, we already got 40. Let's look what we got back there. Still about 5 degrees, so still cold. What's the door back there? Oh, the door shows about 9, 10. So this is about 15. It's 9:17 now. I think we started at 9. This is about 15, 17 minutes of heat going in here, and it warmed up quite a bit. Okay, I mean, we were in minus temperatures and now we're above 0. But it still feels cold to me because I just came out of that one that's nice and warm over there. It's 70 degrees, right? So now I come into this one, and this one feels cold because it is only anywhere from 5 to 15 degrees, whatever surfaces are different. Yeah, different places. So but it's definitely warmer in here than what it was, and the air temperature is warmer, but all the materials in here are not warmed up. So at this point I would be okay basically to drive without freezing in here. No big deal anymore, but it will still take quite a bit more power while driving. So in the wintertime, if I don't have enough time to preheat, because that happens sometimes, maybe you forgot to set it up or whatever, or you have to leave unexpected and you can just preheat for 10-15 minutes, then you have to expect that you're using more power from the battery while driving. So consider that. In general, it's not like we're driving, we need to go on a some 100-mile, 200-300 mile road trip, right? It's usually we're just driving somewhere and if you're charged to your usual daily use, which basically that's most of the time, because your car, whenever it sits at home, should be plugged in and should be charged up most of the time. So then it's not a big deal either if we use a little bit more. So yeah, in here still a little cold. This car still reports -14 there. So any temperature you see in the car, even on this infrared thermometer, because infrared thermometers are not really accurate. It really depends on the surface that it reads off, and we have different surfaces in here, and it depends on the distance that you are from the surface, how accurate these infrared thermometers are. So take all these temperatures with a grain of salt. Our weather station is very accurate, and so the -21 that we have on the weather station, that's what it is out here. Everything else can be ±5 degrees real easy, but that doesn't really matter. We're not doing a scientific test here. But what I wanted to show you is that it takes a good 40 minutes, no matter what, to warm up a car, for all the stuff in here, for all these fabrics and things to absorb the heat, okay? You can feel hot even before they absorb all the heat, but even if you feel hot and comfortable, it will still take more energy, more power from the battery, because the heater will have to keep going, because the fabrics, all these things in here will absorb more heat from the air as you drive. So always preheat while you're plugged in at home for long enough, okay? That's the best way to do it if you want to be comfortable, and especially if you go on a road trip. So if we would do a road trip right now, and let's say we're going to Island Park to the cozy cabin, so we have to go from here to Butte, 150 miles uphill, extremely cold, road conditions are bad, so the worst that can be. So we would charge to 100%, and we wanted to preheat for 40 minutes before we leave, that everything is warm, because we need every little bit of power we can get so that we can actually make that 150 miles with a car that has an EPA rating of this one here had an EPA of 260 miles when it was new. It obviously has some battery degradation, so it's down to about 230. So we need every little bit of that to make the 150 in this cold, okay? So then you definitely want to preheat. But like I said, if you're going somewhere, I don't know, you're going to town and you're parking at a restaurant and it's this cold, your car will cool off. There's the option in a Tesla to keep the climate control on. And you could do that. You could let it run for an hour out there while you're in the restaurant, no big deal. Or before you come back out, at least 20 minutes before you come back out, maybe turn it on via the app or via the key fob or whatever you need to do. You can do that. Also, if you're stuck in traffic, that's the common one that comes up, where people say, well, what do you do if you're stuck in traffic? Well, guess what? I run the heat in my car. Just like I would run the heat in my internal combustion engine car. And then a lot of people say, oh, but you ran out of battery. No, why do I run out of battery? Maybe you run out of gas. So obviously at that point, it depends on how much the state of charge is in your car, how long you can heat your cabin. But that's the same thing if I drive an internal combustion engine vehicle. It depends on how much gas I have, right? A lot of people, they think, oh yeah, I'm not filling up today, I'm driving home and then I'm driving back to work tomorrow. And they're already down to 1/8 of a tank. They're already showing they're on reserve possibly, and say, oh yeah, I can make this easily. Well, yeah, under normal conditions they could, but if they get stuck, well, they may not have enough gas to actually run that heat. So just like we used to fill up gas more frequently in the wintertime to have extra gas, we also make sure that the electric car is charged quickly. We don't necessarily let it sit at a lower state of charge. If we come home with around 20% or 30%, we may charge it up to 40, 50, 60% right away, and then charge up the rest overnight, just so that we always have some fuel in there. And since we don't even have to go to a gas station, that makes it real easy. So now we are 9:25, so we had another 5-10 minutes here. It feels comfortable in here, but steering wheel on the top here, it's not bad. Down here it's still cold. The seat I'm sitting in still feels cold. Oh, up here it's nice and warm. This here is, yeah, I can feel the heat coming up here. The seat, oh, it's not bad over here. Yeah, down here it's cold. Oh, down there it's really cold. But that's where we got seat heaters. And so when you precondition, also turn your seat heaters on. So, well, I think that's about it for today. It will take about 40 minutes, and it doesn't matter. Both of these cars have PTC heaters, resistive type heaters. Okay, they don't have a heat pump. But even if you have a heat pump, it takes about the same amount of time. Why? Because, well, all the stuff in here absorbs heat at a certain rate, and that rate does not necessarily increase even if you have a heat pump. Okay, it depends on how hot it blows in here. It can possibly be better. It can go both ways. Okay, we have seen tests where the heat pump performs really good and where the heat pump performs worse than the PTC heater. So it's a little tricky. It depends on the car, it depends on the system, it depends on the year of the car. It can be all different. We don't really know. We can't say that one is really better than the other. The heat pump should be more efficient and should use a little less power. Some cars have the heat pump but have an additional PTC heater for the extreme cold. So don't just think, oh, I got a fancy car with a heat pump and mine's gonna warm up much faster. Forget that. In real life conditions like it is here, it will take about 40 minutes of preheat at minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit to make the car comfortably warm. Okay, so I suggest preheat about 40 minutes for your drive, so that you have full range available, especially if you need the range. All right, okay, well, it's warming up in here nicely. Oh yeah, there's warm. It blows it all up to the window because we're on defrost. I can feel a little bit here. Oh, nice. So anyway, it's a beautiful day, but it's still a little chilly. I'm going back in the house for right now. And well, in any event, please give us a thumbs up for this video. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so yet. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the future videos. And consider going back, look at our channel, go back on the videos. We have more videos from last winter. If you're interested in cold weather videos, we have our 2020 Chevy Bolt, we have winter videos. We have Model 3, Model S winter videos from last winter. We have Chevy Bolt EUV from this winter. Actually, we have summertime trips from the last couple years. All those videos still have really great information in it, so go back and look at those too. It's not always the newest video has the newest and best information. No, there's many road trip videos we have that have really great information, so go back and look at those. Also, go down below into the description, and there's a link to our Redbubble store. Check out our Redbubble store. We got some merch there. You might find something you like. Well, so it's nice and warm in here now. I'm gonna turn the heater off. I'm gonna turn that heat off, and I'm getting back in the house. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.